Hi, this is 5 Minutes of Thought, episode 14. I'm David Wiedemann from David Wiedemann Coaching. We're going to be talking about getting better today. What's the big idea? Simply put, that there are two things you need to focus on to get better at anything important. Those two things are acting and iterating, acting and iterating, acting and iterating. That is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to start with a little section on being. We'll talk about acting and iterating, and we'll ask, so what? And we'll reflect. We'll do these things in a cyclical pattern, and wondrous things will ensue. Let's start by talking about being. You can't be today one thing and be tomorrow something more complicated. You can't be a baby today and tomorrow be an adult knowing how to ride a snowmobile. There's no instant button you can press. There's no snowmobile knowledge button to press. It's an elaborate process of becoming for anything that is important. It's sophisticated. You're growing in so many different ways. There's challenges, there's sorts of things going on. And the process itself can be overwhelming, confusing, and intimidating. So the question for getting better is, what's a simple way to think about getting better that is easy enough to help you get started, sophisticated enough to capture the complexity involved in getting better? And my answer is a two-step process: acting and iterating. If you commit to acting and iterating, you can get better at anything I propose. Acting means doing something. Iterating means thinking about it and doing it again and again. How does this work? Well, here's a little map. Every action has a consequence. If you stop there, nothing interesting really happens. But if you take some knowledge or some experience or some information or something out of that action consequence sequence and you bring it back, you let it change you, the thinking system, and then you undertake a new action, the new improved you undertakes a new action, then you create this virtuous cycle of improvement that you might call learning. That's all sophisticated and complicated, dotted lines and dashes and everything, but that all boils down into acting and iterating. So let me talk a little bit more about acting and iterating individually. First, acting. The question is, how do I start? What's a good action for beginning? And I think the great thing about acting and iterating, if you have iterating coming later, there's not as much pressure on your action to be the most perfect thing that ever happened. I like this maxim from the sociocratic system. Sociocracy is a consent-based governance system that I like a lot. Good enough for now, safe enough to try. Really, all you need for your action is to be relevant to how you're getting better and to not be a risk, a safety risk for you or somebody else. It can be a very modest thing. It can be reading a book, for instance. Let's focus on iterating. I think iterating is the magic. 90% of the action iterating cycle. If you have to choose acting or iterating, choose iterating. Why? Because everybody acts. Acting's happening all over the place, and consequences follow. What's less common is to learn from all these actions and to change and improve. In fact, you could conceive of some kinds of learning that would be mostly iteration, sports, performance sorts of things. I want to just say one more thing while we're on acting and iterating. It doesn't hurt to think about the context in which you're acting and iterating. Remember, a caterpillar turning into a butterfly needs a cocoon, and so you need some kind of a protective wrapper that can hold you while you're growing from one thing to another. Giving thought to that is not wasted energy. Let's get to the so what section of our talk. So what? So what? I usually have one point that I make in my so what section. Today I'm going to make three. Acting and iterating helps you think about three key problems or tensions in getting better. Thinking about modest and doable and safe actions gets you over that inertial resistance to starting, which is a problem with development. Thinking about iteration helps you make sure that you're learning, and thinking about your cocoon or your context helps you put in place the characteristics for the environment that you need to do this for the long term. with that, I think it's time to pause and reflect. As usual, we have a easy level thought and reflect question, which is, does this trigger any thoughts, feelings, ideas? Capture those, track those down, follow with those, sit with those, and you may be on to your own acting and iterating learning loop. The more advanced invitation is what I call the cubicle challenge. Pop up from your cubicle and see if you can't explain this talk to the person in the next cubicle. And with that, I think we have completed our talk. We talked about being, we talked about acting and iterating. We asked, so what? And we reflected, and wondrous things ensued. This is the end of 5 Minutes of Thought, episode number 14, Getting Better. I am David Wiedemann. Come and see me at davidwiedemann.com if you like this, for lots of things like this. Would love to hear from you, and have a great day. Boop, boop, boop.